her. No, we need 3 players. Really, the one you always win at? No, Munchkin need 3 players too. Hang on. Yeah, because we can play the Munchkin collectible card game. In the game of Munchkin Collectible Card Game, you are battling your opponent to try to deplete their health. And the first player to do that will be the winner of the game. Now I have here the Wizard and Bard starting set. You will need one of these starting sets to play the game, and then once you have at least one of these, then you can buy booster packs and build onto it. But this is the Wizard and Bard set, which has all of the tokens and everything that you need to play the game. There are also a Cleric and Thief set and a Ranger and Warrior set. So let's see what you get in the box. You, of course, get these quick start rules, which fold out and tell you exactly how to play the game and everything that you will need to know to get through your first couple of games. You will obviously also get 2 decks of cards. One deck is for the hero, and one deck is for the wizard, and the other deck is for the bard. Now if you just look through here, there will be cards that are gray. These are general cards that could be in anybody's deck. And then there'll be cards that'll have your particular icon on it. The wizard has a little wizard hat. And there'll also be your color. So the wizard has this light blue color. So anything that is particularly for the wizard has that. You won't have any other types of cards in here. You can't have bard cards in a wizard deck or anything like that right now, at least. You will also have a runaway marker. You will also have one of these level dials here that you will use to level up your character all the way to level 10. And there's also some tokens. There's 1s and 5s, and those are used for a couple of different things. You will also get a 12-card booster pack inside the game. And also note that these little trays are not included. I had these 3D printed by a friend to use in various games. But you will also have a 6-sided die. So you and your opponent will decide who wants to play which flavor of character, whether you want to play a wizard or a bard. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the bard deck since that's the one I've played most often. So I'm going to give my opponent the wizard deck, and they're going to go ahead and give their deck a shuffle. So let's go ahead and set up the area that we need to play. Now in the instructions right here, it has this little diagram to show you how everything should be set up, and it is pretty easy to deal with. So first up, we're going to have our hero. Our hero is going to go right over here. I'm trying to make sure everything's still on camera. So the hero is going to go right there. Then you're going to have your level counter and your runaway marker. And then you're going to have your purse, which is down here, which is where all of your gold is. I'm going to use another one of these little trays here just to keep it separate from any other tokens. And I do suggest having some kind of little container here since the tokens are used for various things. Then you're going to have your shuffled deck right there and leaving a space for your discard pile. Then, let's just move this stuff out of the way here. Then right here is going to be your hoard, and that's where you're going to place allies and weapons and anything like that that you may have during the game. Then you're going to have an area off to the side, which is your stash, which is where monsters and cards will go after they have been dealt with on the field of battle. And of course the field of battle is called the Dangerous Monster Zone, or the DMZ. So once we have our areas all set up, we're going to go ahead and roll the die to determine who goes first. So we'll roll them up, and let's just say I had that 5. I can decide if I want to be the first player or the second player. If you decide that you're the first player, you're going to go ahead and take one of the 1 tokens and place that into your purse, and that now becomes 1 gold for you to spend during your turn. If you decide to be the second player, or whoever is the second player, you'll go ahead and you'll take 2 of those tokens, thus being 2 gold for you to start off the game with. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start off, I'm going to be the first player, so my opponent will go ahead and take 2 tokens to start off the game. So then the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw up from your deck. You're going to draw a total of 6 cards, and this is going to be your opening hand. So I can explain what some of the cards are here. So once you've drawn your hand, you do have an opportunity to mulligan if you want to, but you only have one opportunity to do so. Once everybody has decided if they want to keep or change out their opening hand of cards, we go right into the game. So the first phase is the warm-up phase. There isn't much to do in the warm-up phase in the very beginning of the game, but I'm going to go through this real quickly. First thing you will do is if your runaway marker has been flipped on a previous turn to the limp away side, you flip it back to the runaway side. Then you go ahead and you unzap all of your cards. Zapping in this game would be turning your card to the side, saying that it is exhausted or it has been used for its purpose. And unzapping means you're going to turn it back into a vertical or horizontal. Horizontal? Yes, horizontal fashion. Then comes the reckoning phase. If there is any cards that say that happen during the reckoning phase, that happens now. Then you unstash. If you have any cards in your stash, those will go right into your hand. And once all that is done, you go ahead and you draw 1 card and add that to your hand. And then goes into the Munchkinning phase. In the Munchkinning phase, you can do a lot of stuff, and you can do each of these multiple times until you decide you're completely done with everything. So, let's go ahead and look at some of the cards we have in our hand and decide what we want to do. So, something that we can do is we can play loot. So, looking at here, we have an 11-foot pole. And if you look on here, it has a number here, and that number shows you the rank of whatever loot that is. Now, one rule in the game is that you cannot have loot that totals higher than your current level. So right now, if you look at our little handy-dandy wheel here, we are at level 1, so we can't have anything more than level 1. So we could go ahead and put out this 11-foot pole. The 11-foot pole has a power of 1, and it has 1 defense on it, and that's how much it's going to reduce damage in a fight. We also have this chainsaw of bloody dismemberment. Now this one is a rank 2, so right now since we are level 1, I couldn't have this chainsaw of bloody dismemberment out. Now if I had this 11-foot pole out, and then let's just say I was level 2, I wouldn't be able to put out this chainsaw of bloody dismemberment because I already have a 1 out here, and 1 plus 2 would be 3. I would have to wait until I was level 3 to put out both of these. But I do have our opportunity now, during the Munchkinning phase. If I want to, I can squish some loot. And squishing loot means it goes into your discard pile. So I could squish this and put out the chainsaw of bloody dismemberment if I wanted to. But we're level 1, so that is something that we can't do. But I am going to go ahead and put out that 11-foot pole. And all these loot cards, if they have a star on them, anything like that, those are completely free to put out. They don't cost any gold or anything to put out, unless it says so in the text box. What else do I have here? I also have a location. I have the danger zone, which this, indicated by the musical note right here, is one of my cards for the bard here. And the danger zone, this comes into play zapped. When a hero plays a mischief card with a gold cost of 2 or more, that hero takes 1 gold. Now you can only have one location out on your side at a time. So if I had another location out, I would have to go ahead and squish that location before I put out another one. But I could go ahead and put out this danger zone, and you know what, just for giggles, let's go ahead and do that. So let's put out the danger zone. And looking out here, we have Walking Dreads, which is a monster. I'll deal with those in a second. We have Shrieking Fans, which is another monster. And we have some backup dancers. So this is an ally, and if I wanted to put this ally out into my horde, my ally would cost me 1 gold to do so. And, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot something. The danger zone comes into play zapped. I should have twisted that like that. Okay, back to the backup dancers. So the backup dancers zap. Their ability is the target hired monster gains 2 power for this fight, and then you're going to squish your backup dancers. So if you wanted to use that ability, but also your backup dancers can be thrown into a fight, and they can absorb up to 2 damage. Well, being the very beginning of the game, I only have 1. I want to try to start attacking my opponent. I'm not going to pay anything for my backup dancers just yet. We already saw that. So then we go on to the monsters that we have. So you can start a fight. So I can start a fight with these monsters. So we have these Shrieking Fans. They cost 4. Now remember, I only have 1, so I can't quite afford them, but I could cheat and play this anyways. And I'll explain cheating in just a second. But I do have this Walking Dreads. It is a monster. It only cost me 1. I do have 1. And I can pay 1, and it'll regenerate. So for some reason, the Walking Dreads were destroyed by my opponent or squished. I could go ahead and pay to regenerate so I could stash it instead of moving it to the discard pile. And this counts as an interrupt. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to start a fight. And I'm going to start a fight with these Walking Dreads because I know my opponent doesn't really have anything to deal with them. So when you want to start a fight, you go ahead and take the monster from your hand that you want to use, and you place that face down into the dangerous monster zone. Then you go ahead and commit however much gold you want to. Now you can commit no gold if you want to, or you can commit as much or as little as you want to. So now that I've done that, my opponent has to make a decision. They have to decide whether they want to run away from the fight and use their little runaway token, or face the monster. If they decided they wanted to run away because they have nothing to defend themselves with, they go ahead and take the runaway marker and flip it over to the limp away side. And then any of the committed gold on that monster, I'm going to go back into the purse since I'm not actually hiring that monster. Then this card will go right into my stash, still remaining face down, so my opponent does not know what that was. And then the fight ends, and I can continue on. But let's just say my opponent decided they didn't want to run away just yet. This is still early in the game. It can't be that bad of a monster. So they decide, yes, they want to go ahead and face that monster. So the first thing that's going to happen is your opponent has the opportunity to go ahead and commit any weapons or allies to the fight if they wanted to. So if they had this ally of bodyguard, they could go ahead and commit this to the battle by going ahead and zapping it on their side and pushing it forward, saying that they're going to use it in the battle. Or if they happen to have an 11-foot pole, they could add that to the fight as well, again by zapping it and pushing it forward right into the way of the battle. Now, they don't have any cards since this is the beginning of the game, so they don't have any defenses or anything like that, so they don't have anything that they can commit to the fight. So you go ahead and you flip over the card here. So let me zoom in here. So we flip over and reveal our card. Now we check for cheating. Now, the reason why we check for cheating is because you could have possibly not played a monster. I could have, if I wanted to, I could have threw down these backup dancers face down and try to psych out my opponent. Hopefully they would have ran away. And then that would have gone over to my stash, and they're none the wiser as to what that was. Or I could have possibly played my Shrieking Fans. Now, if I would have played my Shrieking Fans, looking at here, the first thing you check to see if it is a monster. And yes, of course, that is a monster. And then you check to see if you committed enough gold to pay for that monster. In this case with the Shrieking Fans, no, 1 is not enough because the Shrieking Fans require 4 to be hired. So I would have been caught cheating. So if you are caught cheating, the attacking hero goes ahead and takes 1 damage. And when your hero takes damage, you go ahead and take one of these markers and you place it right onto your hero's card. Then all of the committed gold that was on the monster will go ahead and go into the purse because you obviously can't hire that monster. So that'll go right back into your purse. The revealed monster will go into the attacker's stash pile, but it will remain face up. And then the defender, if they had used any items, so if they had used Bodyguard and the, whoops, not even in camera. So if they had used the Bodyguard and 11-foot pole, those would be returned to the defender, but they still remain zapped. So then they could not be used for a future fight. And then the fight is over, and you will continue on with your turn. But we were using the Walking Dreads instead, and we had paid the appropriate amount. So we would go ahead and resolve the fight. The first thing that happens is we've obviously checked for cheating, and cheating did not occur. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the monster's ability. If it has any abilities that happen now, you go ahead and do those abilities. Then all of the gold that you committed to the fight, even if you overpaid, all go into the bank. They do not go back into your purse. You have to pay to hire that monster. Then, if your defender had any weapons, your weapons will go ahead and do damage to the monster. And if it happens to squish the monster will go into your discard pile. If your monster is still alive after that, then your monster is going to go ahead and do its damage to your opponent. And then your opponent gets to decide how it wants to distribute it. So if your opponent had some allies out there, they can go ahead and choose to put some of the damage on the allies and put some onto their hero, or put it all onto the allies and take none to their hero, or however they wanted to dish it out. With the Walking Dreads, they're obviously only doing 1 point of damage, so they have to choose if their hero wants to take it, or if any of the allies they committed to the fight are going to take that 1 point of damage. If any of the allies have had enough damage to be squished, they will obviously go to their respective graveyard. And as long as your monster has survived to the very end, your monster is going to go ahead and go over into your stash, and it will remain there until the beginning of your next turn. So that was just that phase here. I could, if I wanted to, do another fight. Of course, I would be cheating if I did so. So it's a risk I can decide if I want to take that risk or not. I don't think I'm going to cheat this turn, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that my Munchkinning phase is all complete. So once your Munchkinning phase is complete, you go ahead and take your level marker, and you're going to crank that up 1 number. So now we are level 2, we have leveled up. And then you go ahead and look at all the money in your purse. If the money in your purse is less than your current level, you go ahead and take enough money to equal your current level. So since I'm level 2, I have 0 in my purse. I'm going to go ahead and take 2 tokens to equal 2 gold. Now it goes on to my opponent's turn, and they're going to go ahead and go through their warm-up phase, munchkining phase, and of course the cooldown once more. So you will keep going until you have completely destroyed your opponent. Each hero has 20 hit points, at least in this set they currently do. So once you get your opponent to less than 20 hit points or 0 hit points, you will have won the game. Now, as I showed, that there are these 12 card booster packs, and there's one inside each of these starter sets here, but you can go ahead and purchase more. I have a couple of them here. I'm going to go ahead and open one of them just to show you what some of the cards are inside of here. So let's see if I can get this open here. There we go. Let's have a look at some of the cards here. So we have Holy Roller, which is a cleric item here, I believe. Yeah, yellow is cleric. So here is that, and that is a common card here. You can go ahead and read what it does there. Let's see here, we have the Danger Zone, which was in my deck here, which I already used here as a Bard card, and that is a common card. Let's see here, we have a Face Elemental. So that is a, let's see, that is a warrior card, and of course, common. We have a Squirrel, which is a, that is a ranger card, so it's a monster, it's a beastie, and this is a common card. We have an Elvis Impersonator, which again is in the Bard's deck to begin with, and this is a common card. This has an interesting ability. It says Monstrous 3, so even though this is a Mischief Treachery card, you can actually play this as a monster because it has this monstrous ability. It'll cost 3 to hire it, and then it has 3s all across the board, so it can be used as a monster. That wouldn't be considered cheating as long as you paid 3 to take the Elvish Impersonator out. See here, we have Honest Owl's Casino. So this is a location, but this is only available for the Thief. And that is, of course, another common card. We have Nope, another common card for the Thief. We have Leecher, which is a common card here for the Cleric. And let's see here, we have Hot Potato, which is a loot trinket. This is a gray card. Gray cards can be used by anybody. So you can place this into your deck if you want to. I believe you can have up to 3 copies of a card in your deck if you so chose to. So in the Hot Potato, this is an uncommon card with the U on there. We have YOLO, which is another Bard card, which is an uncommon card. We have Up My Sleeve, which is a Mischief Treachery card. So that'll be for the Thief. Again, uncommon. And then we have Explodia's Pinky, which is a Monstrous Finger. And that is a rare card. There are also some other types of rarity. There are also cards that have a V on them for very rare, and there are cards that have a W on them for we destroyed most of these. And then there's also the X on there. If they have an X down there, that doesn't really denote rarity, but that denotes it's a special version of a card. It might be a full art version of a card or something like that. But that is the a booster pack for Munchkin collectible card game.
Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Pull up a chair at punchboardmedia.com.
So that is the Munchkin collectible card game. Now, usually with Munchkin, the basic version of it, you're of one of two camps. Either you don't like Munchkin, or you've never played Munchkin. I kid, of course. I'm not in either one of those camps. I will play it if somebody really wanted to and they suggested it, or if they wanted to learn it, I would definitely teach them. It is actually a fairly good game to introduce people into games, to teach them how cutthroat some games can be, which regular Munchkin definitely is. It has that chase the leader. It also has a little bit of king making, which turns people off from the style of games. And for those of you that don't know, king making is where you're not going to win, so you force the win onto somebody else, thus ending the game. And sometimes that's how regular Munchkin games end up, where there's no way you can win, so you just hurry up and try to end it as quickly as possible. But with the collectible card game, that kind of takes all that away, because you're just fighting one-on-one. So you don't have to worry about other people messing up your plans or anything like that. You are facing your opponent, you know who your opponent is, and you know that they are actively trying to stop you from winning. So this is actually a really, really fun version of Munchkin. I really, really like it. The collectability is pretty cool. If you like other collectible card games, this does have that, where you can collect the cards, or you can just get these base sets. There's, as I said in the video, there are 3 of these base sets. There is the Bard Wizard, which I have. There's also the Cleric Thief version and a Ranger Warrior version. You can just get these core sets and be done. If you really, really wanted to, you can go ahead and get these boosters if you wanted to try to bolster and do a little bit of deck building and advancing, but it's not necessary at all. But I really did enjoy playing this version of Munchkin. This will probably be my go-to version rather than playing the other versions, unless I have a bunch of people and they really all want to play together in one big game. Something else I really, really liked about the game is the updated art. So from some of the previous Munchkin games I've played, it has a very distinct art style to them. Now this has that distinct art style, but it seems to be lifted a little bit. It has a little bit more of like a 3D modeling, at least with the cards in this set and some of the other cards that I've seen. They kind of have like almost a claymation, not quite, but computer animated something 3D-ness to them. I like the art that they have decided to go with, at least in these starter sets. I'm not sure if they can have different artists do different styles or anything like that, but I really like what they have presented in this version of the game. So if the Munchkin collectible card game looks like something that you would enjoy, I'm going to have a link down below so you can go over to Steve Jackson Games and you can check them out. You can also probably find this very, very soon at your friendly local game store. If not, definitely ask for this. I'm sure this is something that they would definitely want to be carrying. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and help support Cloak and Meeple. You can always go to Patreon or Pod Pledge to pledge to this channel to help me get new equipment and improve this channel in any way that I can. You can also go over to geekygoodies.com and you can buy a t-shirt there, and part of those proceeds do come to me and help. And again, thank you for watching.